What is up, Flick fans? Welcome back to the most difficult thing I've had to do in weeks. Today, we are locking in, at least I am, my final Oscar predictions. Will I be wrong? Probably. But I need you guys in the comments down below. What are your biggest predictions for this Oscar season? The nominations are coming Monday. Obviously, we're going to react to that, and you'll see some of the big surprises. But right now, I want to give you guys some things that I believe are going to happen, some things I believe could happen based off of how everything's lining up, and then just some crazy Austin picks, because we all love those. But I need you guys down below. What are you thinking about this year's Oscars? And if you enjoy these Oscar videos, we're going to cover them heavily. And then next week, expect a little bit of a collaboration between myself and the Oscar expert on YouTube. All right, let's get into this right now. We're going to start with, I guess, some of the smaller awards, the more technical awards, work our way up. And you're going to see some missing on here. Not doing shorts, haven't seen them all. Thank God this isn't anything official. This is just for fun. But let's start with Best Song. And we have our obvious choices, in my opinion. The Life Ahead with the Golden Globes win. Speak Now, One Night in Miami. I Believe, the frontrunner. You're going to see an order for all of these. And the order that you see them is the order that I'm predicting them most likely at this point to get in. Not necessarily win. We'll talk about that when the time comes. But obviously, Speak Now. And then you have the ones, Trial of Chicago 7, Judas and the Black Messiah, Hear My Voice, Fight for You. I think they're almost a lock. It's that fifth spot. And a lot of people have, turntables, all in the fight for democracy. The song from Minari, I can't necessarily remember the name. And heck, even Wuhan Flu from Borat's subsequent movie film. I am going out on a bit of a limb, and I'm going Husavik, I believe is how you pronounce it, from Eurovision Song Contest. We've seen some nominations for this song, and it's one of those that I believe once people get around to hearing it, now it all comes down to if the Oscar voters actually go listen to the song when they vote, then I mean, how do you not put this song in there? Regardless of if you like this movie or not, and for a lot of these, I'm going out on a limb. I like throwing in some random ones. This may be one that I'm going out on a limb for, but I think it still has a good shot because I believe it's like 6th or 7th on Gold Derby, so there we go. Starting out hot. International feature. I'm feeling good about the first three, and I actually did something different this time around. I'm going to mark out the movie that I'm taking off from my February to March update. So I did have two of us on this list. It is now off of this list because the final two spots in Collective and Dear Comrades, I believe, have just a bit better of a chance. There's either more talk surrounding them or just the way that things have gone. So international feature isn't necessarily the category that I'm feeling the strongest about in terms of nominations. Two of us could easily get in. But in terms of the winner, I'm going to go ahead and spoil it. Another round's going to take this home. And if it doesn't, I will cry. Not on camera. Makeup and hairstyling. Obviously, some of these categories, you're not going to see 5 nominated. Could be 3, could be 5, but I'm going to do 5 just because it's easier that way. I went out on a bit of a limb last time in February and put Jingle Jangle on this list. I'm taking that off because that popped its head up, I believe, in like one award show and then went away entirely. I'm going to go Birds of Prey just because Birds of Prey has been in the conversation for quite some time, and when you look at what that movie did, and I think it's just a bit more popular than Jingle Jangle, but the other 4 I feel really strongly in with Mank, Emma, Hillbilly Elegy, and Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. It's nice to see Emma be in the conversation with makeup and hairstyling, and it's just nice to see a list of movies that I believe deserve it. How about costume design? It is actually a big risk that I'm taking here, putting the personal history of David Copperfield on this list. At the back of my mind, it's telling me, well, News of the World is going to get on here because News of the World has to get a nomination somewhere. I believe it's slipping out of the conversation. But because it's slipping out of the conversation, I think the personal history of David Copperfield has a good chance to kind of slip its way in here because of the constant and consistent nominations it has been getting. Now, the mindset could be, well, we're not going to do this movie for Best Picture, so let's throw in News of the World for this list. Okay, and probably, I think more than likely, you're not going to see personal history of David Copperfield. But again, I'm taking some risks with my list. I'm going to put Mulan in there, even though I believe it's 5th on Gold Derby, and throwing in David Copperfield in that 5th spot. News of the World could bite me in the butt here very easily, but I'm feeling pretty good about sticking with the 5 that I had in February. All right, this is the production design category, and I'm going to scroll down just a little bit so you can see the 2 movies that I marked off of this list. I marked out Emma. I marked out the personal history of David Copperfield because a part of me really does want to throw Mulan on here because of, well, I mean, the production design was really good, and the fact that a movie like Tenet has kind of been appearing on a few of these other lists. And these are 5 films that I believe just have a better shot in this category than the 2 movies that I left off. Not the case with costumes, not the case with some of these other categories. This is one where both of those, especially Emma, could easily slip in, but I took them off just because I'm feeling a bit more strong when it comes to a movie like Mulan, and even a movie like Tenet, because you got to get nominated somewhere, and I think it's going to get nominated here. All right, and same thing with documentary. We saw a movie like Welcome to Chechnya start popping its head up here and there, and now all of a sudden it's in the conversation everywhere, even with visual effects. So if it's in the conversation in all of these places, I have to throw it on documentary. Now, I'm still keeping Dick Johnson is Dead, Boys State, Time. Collective, though, is another one that I wanted to throw in. And because of those 2 movies starting to become more topical, I had to take off All In, The Fight for Democracy, and The Truffle Hunters, which was really me going out on a limb. You know, they sent me a screener, and they're trying to hype their movie up. It just didn't really turn out the way that they expected, or the way that I expected. I'm actually feeling pretty good about these 5. A few more movies that could pop in, but this looks like a good documentary list, and I'm still just thoroughly impressed with movies like Dick Johnson is Dead and Boys State. Best score. You're going to see a drastic change in the way that this is ordered here, because obviously Soul's going to win, and then you have Mank, The Midnight Sky, News of the World, all essentially locked for a nomination. Now, I put Tenet at the bottom because a movie like Minari is slowly starting to come far more in the conversation than I expected, and Minari's score is beautiful. I'm still holding on to Tenet in this 5th spot because of the splash that it was making earlier in the season, and people were like, well, is it going to be Soul? Is it going to be Tenet? And now it's all the way at the bottom for me. I'm like, is it even going to get in? Because Minari is surging in almost every category, and we'll talk about that. But I'm still going to do it. I'm still going to put Tenet on here, and if it doesn't get nominated, I feel like Tenet is one of those movies that, and maybe Mank in some of the categories, that could get unexpected snubs. You could definitely see one here. Maybe like a First Man kind of deal. But I'm still going to keep it on here because I'm predictable. Visual effects, we talked about the short list last time we did this video, and Welcome to Chechnya made that short list. Now, whether you believe it should be nominated or not, I'm going to put it on here. There's a lot of talk surrounding that documentary, and just the fact that you have a documentary in the conversation is pretty impressive. Now, I think the first 4, easy. Tenet, The Midnight Sky, Mank, Mulan. I threw the one and only Ivan on there because it's like, what's the fifth movie going to be? It's the movie with the CGI animals. It's not going to be the movie with CGI animals, although it could be something other than Welcome to Chechnya. But I'm feeling pretty confident because there's been more hype, more talk surrounding that film than maybe I anticipated, and you got the other nominations. So there we go. Sound. Welcome back to the Sound of Metal category. This is definitely going to be your winner. And then the obvious ones like Tenet, Mank, and News of the World. I wanted to take off The Midnight Sky, though, because in some of the sound categories have been putting on a movie like Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, which is random to a degree, but then you think of what the film is and the performances in that movie, and I'm like, yeah, I guess that makes sense. And I think there's more hype surrounding that film in general, and you think of, well, music, sound, the sound category, sound editing, sound mixing, all of those things. I guess it makes more sense, in a way, to put Ma Rainey's Black Bottom because of, the well-received aspect of that movie, as opposed to The Midnight Sky, which just, people didn't love it. They loved the score, and maybe 1 or 2 more elements, the VFX, but sound is the one that I'm feeling okay about taking it off of, and putting in Ma Rainey's Black Bottom because the movie kind of revolves around that. How about editing? And this one's tough. I think the first 4 are very easy, especially when you saw the tie at the Critics' Choice between Sound of Metal and The Trial of Chicago 7, and The Trial of Chicago 7 being, I think, at the forefront of this conversation, and then Mank and Nomadland, they're in pretty much every nominations group. It's the 5th spot that's really just kind of, all right, what's going to happen here? And I think the big one for The Father for me, even though it breaks my heart to take it off of this list because it may even be the best edited movie in my opinion on this list, were the Ace Eddie nominations, excluding The Father from their list, as well as Tenet. And Tenet's been kind of excluded in general, more so than I thought, so I had to put another movie on here. Now, within those nominations, you had Best Drama and Best Comedy. Minari was nominated for Drama. Promising Young Woman was nominated for Comedy. And I'm sitting back thinking to myself, are they going to do Minari because it's been surging in so many other categories? Or are they going to throw in Promising Young Woman maybe to switch things up? Because we have a lot of very dramatic, more intense movies on this list. And honestly, it could come down to either one. And I feel like part of me feels like I'm going with the wrong movie in this situation because Minari, it seems like the easier choice. But I'm going to go out on a limb with this one because I want to do that occasionally in this video and go with Promising Young Woman because of that Ace Eddie nomination, because of some of the other editing nominations, and the fact that I believe it's a very, very well-edited movie over Minari, which I think could, again, bite me in the butt on this one. So I'm going with Promising Young Woman, but expect one of those two over Tenet. And over The Father. Man, that stinks. So this one's actually really difficult. I didn't have The Trial of Chicago 7 anywhere near this list, and then they got an ASC nomination, and, you know, I sit back and I think, what are Oscar voters more likely to vote for? Is it the more daring choice, something like A First Cow, and you see that I took that off of this list, or is it the more, in my opinion, the safer choice in The Trial of the Chicago 7? When I think of that movie, I don't necessarily think of the cinematography. I think of the cast, and I think of the ensemble aspect of it. Now, Cherry also got a nomination. It ain't going to get close to an Oscar nomination just because of the reception toward that film. So I'm not going to throw it on. I'm going to play it safe, in my opinion. Nomadland, Mank, Tenet, News of the World, Minari. Those are the 5. Now, Tenet could very much not be on this list. I'm going to keep it on there because it has gotten quite a few nominations, as well as News of the World. Now, Minari is the one that I'm not feeling too great about on this list. And there could be numerous. I mean, Judas and the Black Messiah, I think, would be maybe just as good of a choice. Or Defy Bloods. Or, heck, even a movie like I'm Thinking of Ending Things. But unfortunately, I think News of the World is in there. That would be the one I would take off. And then I think Minari barely cracks that 5th spot. So these are my 5 noms for cinematography. They would not be the ones I would vote for. Absolutely not. But these are the ones that I think may have a good chance of getting in. It hurts not to put First Cow on that list. Animated feature, just come on. This has got to be one of the easiest ones to select. If anyone gets this wrong, we're going to be in trouble. It's still that 5th spot. Is it going to be Cruise? Is it going to be... I would prefer Shaun of the Sheep, but, you know, they're going to go with the easy choices. Soul and Wolfwalkers, the only 2 in contention in my book. Let's move on. I don't feel good about this. I feel good about the first 4, Nomadland, One Night in Miami, Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, and if The Father is going to get anything, I mean, it's getting snubbed here, it's getting snubbed there, I'm thinking The Father gets in. It's the 5th spot, and the 5th spot will either go to a movie like News of the World, The Mauritanian, or Borat subsequent movie film. Now, we know Borat got the WGA nom, and I've talked about it in the comments. It's like, yeah, they love comedies and certain things weren't able to be nominated, this and that. But still, part of me believes that the Oscar voters are going to look at Borat, what they did, and what Sacha Baron Cohen kind of pushed for in this film. I think they're going to look at that. And across the board, I mean, this movie is unexpectedly getting so many nominations, from Bakalova to all of the success that it's had at the Critics' Choice and the Golden Globes, this and that. I just feel like Borat... Now, would it be my choice? Would it be my pick personally? No, it's not my pick. It's not my pick to be in the top 5. But I'm going to go out on a bit of a limb here, and I know the response is going to be, well, the Writers Guild Association, they love comedies. I understand that, but you also have to look at the voters, and I just think that movie is well respected with what they managed to do across the board there. So, hey, we'll see. I could be wrong. I will be, probably. Best Original Screenplay. Here's the one where I think someone could come in and unexpectedly take the 5th spot. I have The Trial of Chicago 7, Promising Young Woman, Minari, Sound of Metal, which I'm actually feeling a bit more confident about now that the movie is I think, finally being talked about a bit more, and Mank. Now, Mank is the one, I think on all of these categories, Mank's the one I have a lot of just hesitation toward picking it, and not keeping Judas and the Black Messiah on there like I had last time around. I'm like, okay. And, you know, I heard you guys with the WGAs and some of the movies couldn't be nominated, this and that. The 2 that I think could steal the 5th spot away from Mank is Judas and the Black Messiah, Soul, and really, you want to throw Defy Bloods on there, you could throw Defy Bloods on there. I think Oscar voters could be a bit more kind to that film. I'm going to keep Mank because it's David Fincher, it's Jack Fincher, and we look at the fact that it's gotten original screenplay in quite a few of these big award shows. So I'm going to keep it on there. Unfortunately, I have to take Judas off because of that, but I'm feeling pretty good about those 5. Pretty good. Supporting actress. So, I'm getting out of here, man. I can't do it. Who on God's green earth is going to know what's going to happen with this category? I have literally no clue who's going to get nominated here. We have that last spot, which I wanted to, I don't think it's even remotely going to happen now, go to Ellen Burstyn. And so I took her off, and I'm like, who's going to take the last spot? The first 3 I'm very confident in. Yoo Jung-yun, Olivia Colman, Maria Bakalova, and I'm most confident in Olivia Colman, even though part of me thinks she's not going to win it. Okay. Then you have Amanda Seyfried, who I'm still not all there on. I'm like, she could easily get, you see the picture of her over there that at the beginning of the video, she could easily get taken out by Jodie Foster or by one of these other completely random, Glenn Close, who I have in the 5th spot. I think it's between those 3. I think it's Amanda Seyfried, Glenn Close, Jodie Foster. One's out, the other 2 are in. The 2 that I'm going with here are Amanda Seyfried and Glenn Close. The one that I'm not as confident in is Jodie Foster, but she got the Golden Globes win. Now, Golden Globes, we've got a little bit of confidence, but then you've got the randos that get in, so I am not entirely confident in my 5 here. I'm going with Glenn Close only because these are not critics voting. I know critics didn't love Hillbilly Elegy. This is, the voting body that I think are more likely to select Glenn Close. But when Jodie Foster gets nominated, she's more than likely to win, right? Glenn Close keeps not getting the win. So it's like, what are they going to do? I still think they're going to go with Glenn Close because, we got to get her in there. We got to at least give her that opportunity. And Amanda Seyfried, just because she was so good in Mank. But do not be surprised if Jodie Foster gets in over one of those 2. And if the other 3 don't get nominated, we just did bad. Here's the one. There are quite a few that I've went out on a limb and selected something that's not really been talked about. I think the first 4 are set. And thank God, Paul Raci, I am much more confident in now. There's still a small possibility that one of the Trial of Chicago 7 actors could get in over a Paul Raci. But it's the 5th spot that has quite a bit been going to Chadwick Boseman into Five Bloods. But because Chadwick is getting so much love in his other film in the acting category, part of my mindset is, well, maybe Chadwick doesn't get it in the supporting actor race. So who's next? Is it Mark Rylance? Is it Jared Leto, who lives in a society, as we all do? Or is it Alan Kim? And this could be me being stubborn. I could be just not seeing Jared Leto getting nominated in so many of these award shows. And, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to be the stubborn, get off my lawn, kids. I'm not going to do it. That could easily be what it is. But part of my mindset with selecting Alan Kim, who essentially, when you think about it, he's kind of coming out of nowhere and taking this, if indeed he does take a nomination. Part of that is the speech at the Critics' Choice Awards. Now, hear me out. I think the speech was kind of heard around the world, and there was a lot of talk on Twitter about how good the kid was in the movie, because I do think he deserves it, but also how good that speech was, how cute it was, and man, we start looking into Minari more, and it's surging across all of these categories, and you see on Gold Derby, he's been going up a little bit more. Now, he's still like 8th, 9th on the list, but this is my one just shocker of the night. Now, I tend to get the shockers wrong. I got them wrong with Golden Globes. I just picked them in the wrong categories. So this could easily be the case. But if you're asking me, Austin, what's the one big thing that you expect to happen here? Not a snub, but a surprise nomination. I'm hoping, maybe it's just my heart, because I think he's a cute kid. I'm hoping Alan Kim gets the nom. Let's find out. Best Actress, surprisingly enough, has become far more clear over the last couple of months. I was thinking, Zendaya. I was thinking some of these just, close, but then the talk kind of dies off. But now, since obviously Day got the Golden Globes win and she's getting nominated across the board, I'm actually less confident now in Vanessa Kirby, who was one of my 4 locks this entire time. So if anyone gets a surprise snub, I think it actually could be Vanessa Kirby, so you're going to see a very shocked Austin if that happens, but I'm very confident in these 5 to get nominated. Now, who's going to win? But here's your nomination. I'm pretty confident in these 5. Best Actor: Chadwick, Anthony Hopkins, Riz Ahmed, lock. Steven Yeun for Minari, I think, again, because of the surge of that movie, because of the talk surrounding it, I think he's a lock, honestly, at this point. Maybe not firmly. There could easily be a Delroy Lindo come in instead of him, as opposed to Gary Oldman. But the movie that's kind of dying off a little bit, just hype in general, is a Mank. And, some of the things that I think about that film are the production design, are, the way it comes together, the cinematography, the beauty of the technical. It's not necessarily the acting. And then when I think of the acting, I'm like, oh, Amanda Seyfried. And then Gary Oldman. And that may be the mindset of some people coming in. Now, I've still got him on the list, clearly. Delroy Lindo is the one that I'm very worried about, because I feel like Da 5 Bloods could do a lot better with Oscar voters as opposed to some of these other bodies. And you're not going to see me upset if Delroy Lindo gets it, because I think he is a guy that just crushed it. He absolutely crushed it. I still think they're going to go the safe choice with Gary Oldman in Mank, and he was very good in Mank. So not completely confident in, honestly, 4 and 5, but I'm more confident in 4. Gary Oldman's the one I'm a little bit worried about, so watch out when that happens. Best Director. Now, again, one would think I would have full confidence in this category, but I don't. I don't, because you don't see Regina King here. And Regina King, the entire season, has been talked about getting a Best Director nomination. And honestly, if you ask me, where am I kind of torn? I'm torn between David Fincher with Mank. And a lot of you are going to say, Austin, come on, they're not going to do that to David Fincher. But I think they very much could. I think Regina King could easily get a nomination. I don't think they're going to snub Sorkin, because the talk surrounding Trial of Chicago 7. I think Emerald Fennell, I think she's a lock almost at this point. Lee Isaac Chung, lock. Chloe Zhao, lock. Not completely confident in the last 2, but I'm going to stick with them, even though, again, Regina King, that could be my downfall with this category. So, playing a little safe here. Austin, why do you have The Father at the bottom in the 10th spot? Well, first off, let me explain myself. I don't think there are going to be 10 movies that get nominated. I think it's going to be 9. So The Father, for me, I'm just going to keep 10 because I've been doing 10. The Father is that one movie that I think could come in, sneak up, and take that last spot. It was News of the World, even over A Sound of Metal, but News of the World has just died off. And I think the lack of the PGA, the Producers Guild nomination, really hurt News of the World. I also think it really hurt The Father, and I know Father's getting BAFTA. I know Father's getting some of these others, but it hasn't gotten the love all season. All season. It seems like every award show, you have The Father maybe sliding in Screenplay, but Best Picture, it's just not there. And I think most of the love is going to Anthony Hopkins. Now, does that hurt me? Absolutely, because out of all of these films, I think The Father is my favorite. It has moved into my number 1 spot. So it's going to suck seeing it not get nominated. But I don't think it gets nominated. I take a look at my top 9. And let's go ahead and highlight my final picks for Best Picture. And my picks are Nomadland, Minari, The Trial of the Chicago 7. They are absolutely getting a nomination. Less confident, but still confident in Promising Young Woman, Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, One Night in Miami. Mank has really started slipping for me. Really started slipping. And if there is a shock in this category, and I'm talking rock the world shock, I believe it's going to be Mank getting snubbed. I think that is the one that's going to just throw everything off, throw off the balance in terms of expectations. Not that everyone loves that movie, but it's just kind of, at this point, we all think it's going to get nominated, right? Judas and the Black Messiah, I think, has less of a chance than I personally want it to, but I think it's so timely, so relevant, so well made, so impactful, and it got that HBO Max release, so more people are seeing it. I still think it gets in. Now, the one that I'm questioning most here is Sound of Metal, and I didn't even have this close to my list. I mean, at one point I had Soul above Sound of Metal. I had News of the World above Sound of Metal. But the love, it just keeps getting the love. It got the PGA nomination, along with Judas and the Black Messiah, which kind of puts it on that list. Now, Borat also got PGA, but you look at what they had to go through making that movie. I'm like, all right, I guess that makes sense. Is it going to get Best Picture? No, it's not going to get Best Picture. And honestly, I see all of the other ones I have listed getting on above that like The Father and News of the World. I think The Father is the one that just doesn't get it. Now, if we had 10 this year, like we will next year, 10 locks, yeah, The Father gets in. But Sound of Metal, the talk, the hype, the fact that I really want to go back and rewatch this movie. I've not stopped thinking about it since I've watched it. I think the performances, all of that leads me to believe it's going to get the Best Picture nomination. So these are my 9 choices. Now, very different from even when I did my Best Picture video, because the way that things shift and change. But I'm feeling pretty good in these choices. I want to know, what do you guys think about the Oscars this year in general? What is going to happen? My brain, my mind, am I going to be right? Probably not, but I need you guys down below. Hey, thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, be sure to drop your thumbs up. And like I said, we're going to be going live the day after the nominations are announced. Myself, the Oscar expert, brother bro, it's going to be a great time. And we're going to be talking about what the heck just happened the day before. And of course, my reaction will be coming Monday morning. Be on the lookout for that. It's going to be so much fun. All right, guys, you're the very best. Appreciate you for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow with some more reviews.